Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be looking at the new New York Times interactive, 2018 tracking the polls real time. So this is a very new feature. This is something that pretty much hasn't been done before, and it is called live polls for a reason. So on your screen right now, this has no political implication other than just looking at the polling numbers, which aren't finalized just yet. It's just something that I would like to talk about for a moment and just pretty much shows how advanced we've got in terms of technology that shows live polling. Live polling is something significant. So pretty much on your screen, if you just go to the link that I will be putting in the comment section, if you want to check it out yourself, it is pretty much the polling the 2018 midterm elections in real time. So what does that mean? When I first thought of it, I didn't suspect this whatsoever. So for example, let's take West Virginia's 3rd district, a poll that's pretty much just starting to get to begin with. They say on their results page, do not take this poll seriously unless we reach 150 people. We're at 101. So right now they're currently making calls to the districts, and those people that don't answer, they pretty much are being filled out here, as you can see with blank slates here. And I'd be surprised if we actually got a call that did answer that showed up here. Pretty much all the same thing that we're seeing there. These people aren't answering their phones, but still, it tells you how many calls are being made and how many people actually answer here. And then it'll show you the results. Right now, the Democrat at 47%, the Republican at 38%, but still, looking at this is pretty interesting. So here we have a new number out for the Democrat. Voting for the Democrat, now we're at 102 for the New York Times, but it's not just that. They've been publishing these polls in Real Clear Politics, which actually show some implications for some races. The ones that they have just finalized are in Illinois 6, where it's a pretty much even race, but with the Republican ahead by 1%. In Illinois 12, the Republican ahead by 1%. Over here, California 48, it's a tie. The Democrat narrowly ahead, and then Kentucky 6th, Andy Barr ahead by 1% against McGrath, but still, these numbers are pretty interesting to say the least. The fact that these races were done live, and they pretty much showed everywhere where they called. They have an interactive map as well where they show where they did make calls and where the calls were made, but also not answered. So if you look around this area, not many calls were answered compared to in Lexington, or if you look over in Georgetown area, Frankfort area, Richmond area. This is Kentucky's 6th district. So pretty much they keep constantly making calls into the district, and then they get results back. So for those of you who didn't know about it, I think you know about it now, and this is very interesting. The most recent vote from the 3rd district in Minnesota, which is a toss-up district, is voting Democratic right now. We have a Democrat leading by 7% with a margin of error plus or minus 5%, my bad, in this district. And again, it shows you where they make calls and where they were getting voters from. Clinton plus 9 was the last result from the Minnesota 3rd district, but still, they've made 14,000 calls and 401 people have spoken to the New York Times, which pretty much means, number one, also a number of polls taken, whether it be national or in just specific races, they do call a lot of people. It's not like they call 5 people and then publish the results. For them to get a group of 1,000, either it was previously established before the poll was taken. For example, I believe it was the LA Times, used the same voting group the entire 2016 election group. They would call them, and then pretty much you would see how that specific group changed, which also had some national implications, but still, I believe it ended up saying Trump would win the popular vote by 3%, which wasn't, of course, entirely accurate. But for right now, what we're looking at these numbers, they've had 160,000 calls made so far. Not many people are responding to these polls, but it's also very interesting to see these numbers change real time. Before, I believe the Democrat was ahead by 10% in West Virginia's 3rd. Now they're ahead, I believe, by 9% the last time we were on it in Minnesota's 3rd. The same results from before, but still very interesting seeing these numbers, especially with that many calls being made. And overall, these polls likely could be showing a new wave of how people like the New York Times or other polling networks show how their polls are taken. They will possibly do something where they have live polling and they show you where they're making calls and where the voting group is coming from. Typically, larger areas in terms of the urban population is more Democratic, and then more dispersed areas, more rural areas are typically more Republican. So again, that's something that could help too. They are now providing the map as to where the voters came from, not just they were voters, they voted this way. This is a whole new way of polling. I'm not expecting CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, these type of networks, I'm not expecting them to go out and do this like the New York Times. I believe this is an experiment, and it should be pretty interesting. So it's not just the New York Times. They are currently with Siena College, which previously polled other data. I believe there was an error on the Real Clear Politics page, which showed the Republican ahead in one of the New York districts, and the next day I checked it, the Democrat was ahead. So they don't publish these polls like during the live results. They do them afterwards for obvious reasons once they have concluded, but that may have been just a one-time error in the entire system. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. It's just pretty interesting. If you want to check it out yourself, I'll put it in the comment section below, and I will make an analytic type video today based off some results. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.